The first time I saw her, she was standing over the wreckage of my ship, her eyes glowing a fierce, unearthly blue. I had crash-landed on this forsaken planet, and she was the last thing I needed. I scrambled to my feet, my hand instinctively reaching for the blaster at my side. "Stay back!" I shouted, my voice echoing through the desolate landscape. She tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "You are not welcome here, human," she said, her voice a strange mix of musical tones and harsh clicks. I tightened my grip on the blaster. "I don't want any trouble. I just need to fix my ship and get out of here." Her eyes narrowed. "Your presence is trouble enough. My name is Ethan Carter, a pilot for the Interstellar Exploration Corps. I had been on a routine mission when my ship, the Starlight Voyager, was hit by an unexpected meteor shower. I crash-landed on an uncharted planet, and that's where I met her, Liora, an alien girl from a species I had never encountered before. Liora was tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like the surface of a pearl. Her hair, a cascade of silver, framed a face that was both beautiful and intimidating. But it was her eyes that held me captive, deep, glowing blue, like twin stars burning in the night sky. From the moment we met, it was clear we were enemies. She saw me as an intruder, a threat to her world. And I saw her as an obstacle, a danger to my survival. Days turned into weeks as I struggled to repair my ship. Liora watched me from a distance, never interfering but always present. I could feel her eyes on me, a constant reminder that I was not alone. One evening, as I was scavenging for parts, I heard a rustling in the bushes. I turned, my blaster ready, and found Liora standing there, her expression softer than before. "You need help," she said simply. I lowered my blaster, surprised. "Why would you help me?" She hesitated, then sighed. "Because you are not leaving, and your presence here is causing a disturbance. If you fix your ship and leave, my world will be at peace again." I nodded slowly. "All right, what do you suggest?" She stepped closer, her eyes scanning the wreckage. "There is a place, not far from here, where you can find the parts you need. But it is dangerous." I raised an eyebrow. "Dangerous? How?" "Creatures," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "They are not like me. They are hostile." We set out the next morning, Liora leading the way. The journey was treacherous, the terrain rough and unforgiving. As we walked, we talked, our initial animosity slowly giving way to a tentative understanding. "Why do you care so much about this planet?" I asked her one day as we rested by a stream. She looked at me, her eyes reflecting the sunlight. "This is my home. My people have lived here for generations. We are connected to this land in ways you cannot understand." I nodded, feeling a pang of guilt. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to intrude." She smiled faintly. "I know. You're just trying to survive, like me." As we neared our destination, the air grew thick with tension. The creatures Liora had warned me about were real, and they were close. We moved cautiously, every sound putting us on edge. Suddenly, a roar echoed through the trees, and a massive beast lunged at us. I fired my blaster, but it barely slowed the creature down. Liora sprang into action, her movements swift and graceful. Together, we fought off the beast, our combined efforts finally bringing it down. Breathing heavily, I looked at her in awe. "You're incredible," she shrugged, wiping sweat from her brow. "We make a good team." With the beast defeated, we continued our journey, finally reaching the place Liora had mentioned. It was an old, abandoned facility, filled with the parts I needed. As we scavenged, our bond grew stronger, our conversations more personal. "Tell me about your world," Liora said one evening as we sat by a fire. I smiled, thinking of Earth. "It's beautiful. Blue skies, green forests, vast oceans. But it's also complicated. There are wars, conflicts, people fighting over resources." She nodded thoughtfully. "It sounds chaotic." "It is," I admitted, "but it's home." As the days passed, we faced more challenges, more creatures, but we faced them together. Our partnership became a friendship, and I found myself relying on her more than I ever thought possible. Finally, With the parts we needed, we returned to my ship. Liora helped me with the repairs, her knowledge of the planet proving invaluable. As we worked, I realized how much I had come to care for her. The day my ship was ready to launch, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. I didn't want to leave her, but I knew I had to go home. "Thank you, Liora," I said, standing by the open hatch. "I couldn't have done this without you." She smiled, her eyes shimmering. "And I couldn't have protected my world without you." I hesitated, then reached out and took her hand. "Come with me. There's so much more to see out there." She looked at me, her expression torn. "I can't. This is my home. But maybe one day our paths will cross again." I nodded, understanding. "Goodbye, Liora." "Goodbye, Ethan." As I lifted off, I watched her grow smaller and smaller until she was just a speck on the horizon. My heart ached, but I knew I would never forget her, the alien girl who went from my foe to my partner and who showed me the true meaning of friendship. Back on Earth, I resumed my duties with the Interstellar Exploration Corps, but my thoughts often drifted back to Liora. I wondered how she was, if she was safe, if she ever thought of me. One day, as I was preparing for another mission, a message came through on my communicator. It was a simple, encrypted signal, but I recognized it immediately. "Liora," I whispered, a smile spreading across my face. The message was brief, but it filled me with hope. "Until we meet again, my friend." And I knew, deep in my heart, that our story was far from over.